So Diddy is in a world of trouble. I'm sorry. And I know his attorneys, he has a representative, and there's representatives saying he's going to fight it and whatever, all that. But when you're the Southern District of New York, the feds, when they get their hooks in you on a RICO charge, that's what they charge. That's crime boss shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You cannot purchase 1,000 bottles of baby oil and not have little children.
Come on.
That's slippery. That's some slippery shit, man.
Ain't that slippery?
Y'all
That
nasty.
is
Both of y'all
slippery.
nasty for
That
that.
is slippery.
What I mean,
That's a lot of baby oil.
that's a lot of baby oil and lube. What were they doing?
They were sliding all across that
I
mess.
mean, can you imagine being the cleaning lady?
Oh,
That cleaning lady has seen some stuff. She probably got subpoenaed too as well. That
She
cleaning
walked in
lady.
and said, I quit, or I want $1 million to clean this house today.
yeah.
All right, Don, I want to talk about your book. I want to
Yeah.
watch.
I was just going to say, did he think he's slick? Sorry, go on.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
It is.
No, it's giving slip and slide. Mhm.
Go ahead. I'm just gonna keep this up.
I'm done.
Okay.
Let's talk about the book. Go ahead, Zach.
I once was lost. Title of the book: I once was lost. My search for God in America. Why that title?
Because of the stuff that we're going through. First of all, that was my grandmother's favorite hymn, right? And she would, and I start up in the book by writing about my
church.
I grew up in the Shallow Missionary Baptist Church in Port Allen, Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
Missionary Baptist Church.
Yes,
So I write about my grandmother. My first brush with the Holy Spirit is I was sitting on my grandmother's lap, and it was at night. You know, the piano player's going, the organ's going, the pastor's going, the choir's jumping in, down, 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 down. And then he's like, yeah, and everybody, if you witness, praise the Lord. Ah. And my grandmother shouted, got the Holy Spirit, and I hit the floor. My head hit the bench, the pew, and my sisters came rushing over. Then all the women at the church came rushing over. So I used that story about my faith and how I had been, really, it was pissing me off about how evangelicals were injecting their toxic theology and their toxic teachings into our politics and into our system of government, and telling women what they could do with their bodies. And when I didn't know one law that tells a man what a man can do with his body. And so I had to speak on it. So this book is not just about religion. It's about how religion is infecting our politics, how it's moving us towards a theocracy. And we should not, our country should not be governed by people's religious beliefs. That's our separation of church and state. So I talk about female reproductive rights. I talk about racism in this book. I talk about the issue with guns, and a whole lot of things with drugs in the country. I talk about prostitution. I talk about all kinds of things that we may judge, we have judgments about, and that we really don't have the right information on. And so this book was supposed to come out after the election. And the publishers read it and said, you know what, we're going to put this out before the election because people need to read it before they go vote. So that's why you need to buy it and read it.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
I also talk about what happened when I left CNN too. So you'll get all that.
Oh yeah. That's we want to know that. That's a good one. We definitely got to know that. But I want to ask, because just to go back to it, the separation of church and state, but still our country and a lot of the world guidelines are built on religious beliefs and a moral compass that comes with the religion, right? And I get what you're saying when people are taking that word and weaponizing it to kind of get their own self agendas out, or the agenda that they want out. Can you explain a little further on that?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but let me just give you a little story. You guys ever heard of the Slave Bible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Slave Bible is what the master or what white people gave the slaves, right? It was like maybe 10% of the Bible, because they didn't want people to hear about slave uprisings and everybody's created equal, all men are, and all that stuff. They didn't want the slaves to hear about that because they wanted us to be ignorant. And so the same thing happens with our government. You can have a moral compass. That moral compass is yours. That's not part of the laws, right? The law, what America is supposed to be about is what's good for everybody, liberty and justice for all, not religion, telling people what to do with their bodies, not telling people how to worship. That's why we left England, because we wanted religious freedom. So you can have a moral compass. If you don't want to get an abortion, don't get an abortion. But don't tell a woman that she can't do something with her body. just like Caitlyn Jenner, formerly Bruce Jenner, right? Bruce Jenner is now saying that women should not be able to get abortions. Bruce Jenner can't have a baby, or Caitlyn Jenner can't have a baby. Now, also, no one told Caitlyn Jenner that she could not have surgery to change her sex. Yet and still, she's having surgery to change her gender, right? Doing what she wants to do with her body. The hypocrisy in that is what I'm talking about. People use those scriptures, they use religion, they use the Bible, and they twist it into what they want for control and power. And so if it fits them, it's okay. But if something that you want, it's not okay. And I'm saying that's not okay. That's not what this country is about. And that's not what God is about. Theocracy pushes us away from democracy, and it pushes us away from God. And if you, whatever God that you believe in, then you serve and you worship that God. That's your business. But that has nothing to do with what you can do and your agency in society and how this country should be run. It should. That's what the separation of church and state is about.
What's that?
Look, that they use the same scriptures to keep us enslaved. They use the same scriptures to subjugate women. They, I know that we struggle with this issue of homophobia in society, and a lot in the Black community, right? If you don't want to be gay, then don't be gay. And if you don't want to marry the person of the same gender, of the same sex, then don't marry the person of the same sex. But don't tell somebody else what they can do because of your religious beliefs. Because or an interracial marriage, because interracial marriage, they use the Bible to say that interracial marriage was sinful at one point, right? And in the same verses, not far along, they say, far from that. And then they'll say, oh, you're not supposed to eat shellfish, or you're not supposed to eat pork, or you're not supposed to do this on this day, and you're not supposed to do this on that day. But we still do it. We still eat pork. We still do that. But then we try to judge other people for their lifestyle and for their choices and for who they are. We pick the scriptures that we want to pick because we want to control other people, and that ain't right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's right.
You cooking in this book. I gotta read. Now, I gotta ask you, Don, you recently appeared on CNN, and I want to know, what was it like going back, and if they made you an offer, would you return?
If one more person asked me that, I'd have $1 million. Look, I always say, I never say never, right? But here's what I will say. I don't see it in the cards. I don't like to look back. I like to look forward. And I loved working at CNN. I love the people there. I think they're the best journalists in the business. Man, I was chubby right there. They're the best people, the best journalists in the business. But I don't see it in the cards. But I never say never, because it was interesting when I as soon as I left the set, I opened up my social media and people were like, oh, you got to go back. You got to go back. And then people were writing. If you look at the write-ups afterwards, they were like, CNN, bring Don back. And it was just really, they said it felt like home. And for me, it felt like home too. So again, I never say never. I'm very happy with my show, The Don Lemon Show, which is on YouTube, iHeart, Spotify, and Apple, and anywhere you get your streaming content. I'm very happy with that. And you guys, I believe, are seeing me more on social than when I was on CNN. Are you sitting in front of the TV at night watching cable news?
Oh, you know where I'm at. I'm on TikTok.
Okay,
well, there you go. So for sure.
Did you see my TikToks at the convention with all those people, this brother saying they're voting for Trump? Did you see that?
Yes. And was that uncomfortable for you?
Had to be.
No, it wasn't uncomfortable for me because I've been around long enough. I know that people are going to vote for who they vote for. But what was eye-opening to me, and I'm not saying it's surprising, was that they had the wrong information. They were saying, I'm voting for him because he gave me a stimmy. Right?
Yeah, it's so loud and wrong.
Loud and wrong, because that stimulus check came from a Democratic Congress. That was Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat, that gave you that check. And then Donald Trump held it up to get his name on the check. What they forget about, Louisiana in the building, hey, Fifi. So what they forget about is that, you guys know I'm from Baton Rouge. What they forget about is that Joe Biden gave them a stimulus check as well. He just didn't put his name on it. And that, what are you going to do? $1,200? What is that now? That is about 70 cents a day from when he gave you that stimulus check to now. And it may be less than that with the taxes and inflation. So what the hell are you talking about?
Right. And a lot of people believe like he just went in his pocket and gave us a stimulus check just because it was out the kindness of his heart. Like we weren't in a global pandemic. Like it's so annoying
I
to hear
think
that.
That he handled poorly. The reason the reason we were in that situation is because he handled the pandemic so poorly. Because he told people that they could inject bleach and light inside the body rather than encouraging people to go get a vaccine or to do things that will actually help them. Right.
Mhm.
But instead, he's going, and you can inject the light inside the body, and you're going to do that with the medical doctors. It's like, come on, man.
Now, look, I know, look, I don't know who gave us the checks, but I know we was eating. I know, listen, it wasn't just the stimmy. It was one to 1,200. Everybody was eating off the PPP loans. You know how many used Dodge Chargers got bought?
And you know how many people are going in jail now for not paying those PPP loans?
Money.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
Gary, Don. This was Gary.
Yeah,
Gary, Indiana.
excuse him. Sorry.
No, man.
You a slickster.
People was eating, man. People, the hood was up.
Oh, okay.
So you telling on yourself, what'd you do with your PPP loan?
Now, see, Don, I didn't get one. Don't try to put that on me.
Come on, Don.
What do you mean people were eating? No, wait a minute. Let's talk. Kiki, let's challenge him. You said people were eating for the PPP loans and whatever, and you didn't get any PPP loan?
No,
How were you eating?
When they hit me up, look, Don, when they hit me up, I tried. For some reason, I got denied. But my boy got about 30, 40 bands, okay? They was up. They got a BMW X6. They up, and they ain't going to jail. They still
around. Don, you're not going to get my boy in trouble, man.
We got a prosecutor come into office now, so you know.
Yeah.
She might get y'all. And don't believe the stuff, Kiki. I keep going to Kiki because she makes sense. Women always make sense.
Right, I got sense.
They're talking about she put 1,500 men or whatever, black men in prison. None of that shit is true. 55 people that she put in prison. So like, you got to do your homework. People have to do their homework, and I don't understand why they believe this Trump bullshit. I really don't get it.
I don't either.
Crazy.
Google is free.
Now hold that book up again, man, so everybody, all the roomies can see it again,
Let's
brother.
see the book.
I'm gonna do like Donald Trump did the Bible when he stood out in front of the. Remember that?
Not upside down like Trump.
Man, guys, go roomies, go check that out. It's gonna be amazing read for you. Thanks a lot, Don, man.
No, let me tell you this. Tamron Hall told me to be nice to you.
Oh my goodness!
She said, let me tell you what Tam said. I just want to make sure. Where is Tam's text? She said, be nice to Tony on the shade room. And I said, ha ha ha, they shady over there.
Yes. Text her back and say Kiki the only one with some sense.
Yeah.
I will. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us.
Now you're gonna send us a couple books. Send us a few books now.
But yeah, yes. Have your folks seriously. I'll send them and I'll sign them for you guys. Have your folks send the address to where I should send it to. Okay.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Someone says send me a book, babe. Trinice, go get your own book.
All right.
Thank you.
That was fun, guys.
Zach and his PPP.
Zach,
look,
he ain't even cut us in, Tom.
Right?
Yeah. No, I didn't get it.
No,
I didn't get it. I promise you, I was down.
Like
I was sad. Everybody in the hood got one, but me.
And Don was on your ass. He was about to have you.
Yeah, Don was about to have me
jammed
up.
He was like, "Yo, what you mean?" I'm like, "Oh no, bro."
Well, let's get into this, fellas. Now, actress and hip-hop pioneer, one of my favorites, Eve, is trending this week with the release of her new book, Who's That Girl? The rapper revealed in the book that Jay-Z told her not to get her hopes up because female MCs do not do well. So I want to ask you, do you feel like female rappers have the same respect and support as male rappers in the music industry?
Back then, not as much.
Okay,
not as much. Back then, she wrote in the book back then. It was tough. It was definitely male dominated, but now all the dudes are trash and the girls are way better.
Period.
That's just, it's just a fact. It's a fact. What you think?
That's big facts. Big Glow is my favorite rapper right now.
Yep.
If you go to my top two, it's Big Glow and Future. So that's who I'm listening to. I'm actually waiting on Big Glow new album.
Yeah.
So yeah. But this has been a recent surge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that women got the same support and the same branding opportunities. I think women always been making dope music.
Yes.
But were they getting pushed and having the budgets and different than the videos and just the I think what happened. Oh shoot. I dropped my phone. I think what happened was they started investing in the women rappers. You know what I'm saying? That started to happen. If you notice, Nicki popped after Nicki was one of the ones, the pioneers that blew up. And then as you saw, record labels and moguls started to invest in women rappers, and they worked.
Absolutely,
and it absolutely
you need to invest in women in all formats.
So, because you remember the woman on the crew, it used to be like a crew of people,
and
like,
it was one woman.
And it was just that one woman, and they were treated as almost like the token woman rapper.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Instead, now it's like the main character.
Yeah.
And now that's why you're getting different results.
But I think it also goes with guys. I think when you hear a lot of people talk about it, women rappers were harder to manage in a situation because it's hair, nails. You give a dude some Timbs, some jeans, and a chain, he's good. So it was the glam squads. They said you can go back and look. They said it was harder to keep women because it would cost more to keep.
That's a terrible excuse.
It is
a horrible excuse.
It is a
terrible, horrible excuse.
But no, let me finish. Okay. It's also that was a real thing. That's a real thing. And then also the fact that then you had women that were in this male-dominated space that didn't want to be bothered with the misogyny and always getting hit on and always trying. So a lot of the women rappers like, all right, man, I don't feel like going to the studio, because we even heard Lotto speak about it. People were trying to say, hey, look, I'll give you this verse or I'll give you a beat for sex. Women got tired of that and just kind of fell back. They got tired of it. So it was probably a little bit of both in that situation. Now it's way better and it's easier. And they see what the women actually are doing their thing right now.
Shout out to Miss Monica. Go ahead.
No, Reed, go ahead. Let's hear from the roomies.
Queen Latifah, Moni Love, MC Light, the real Roxanne, Shantae, all had to fight for their acceptance in male-dominated hip-hop world back in the day.
Yeah.
Yep. And I just want to thank some of the female rappers who I feel like have done a phenomenal job of creating that space. Okay. Like she listed that list. Also, Missy Elliott was a pioneer. Nicki Minaj has done exceptional. Like she's still selling out world tours. I know everybody has an opinion and don't want to give her credit all the time, but Nicki has really held her own as a solo artist. She started out in a camp as that token woman, but she has grown way beyond that. So now I think we're in a space where women have fought. We had to fight. Now we've gotten it. We've earned it. We've over-earned it. And now it's time for the women to receive the same or more respect than some of these male rappers. Because the work is there.
Oh, the work is there.
The work is there and it's proven.
Absolutely.
All right, now let's talk about a possible TikTok ban. Roomies, give it up for AB Burns Tucker, the host of Shade Room's Read the Room. AB!
Woo, woo.
AB!
It's a party now.
Yeah. What's happening, AB? What's good?
How are you? I'm good. Tired, political season, but I'm doing well. How are you?
We love it. All right, now, AB, for people who don't know, tell us what Read the Room is all about.
Yeah, so Read the Room is actually a really fun debate show that I host every Tuesday night on the Shade Room's TikTok. And it's like an interactive debate show where we debate like current events, but then also issues that are very relevant to our culture. So yeah, we have a lot of fun on there. So make sure you pull up.
And we pulling up, friend. Now, what did you talk about this week on Read the Room?
So this week on Read the Room, TikTok is in active litigation right now. So we had two questions. Our first question was whether or not the U.S. government should be able to ban TikTok. And then as like a sub issue, we also debated whether or not people should be held criminally liable for spreading misinformation on these social media sites.
Criminally. Wow.
All right, now you got a clip. Come on, set this up for us, AB.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously with the TikTok litigation right now, the argument is that, China might have a little too much access to American people's information. They could be spying on us and they could use that information for nefarious reasons. And so that is one of the arguments for why the U.S. government or our Congress is like, we think TikTok should go. And not so much that TikTok should be banned, but rather America should have a little more control and more like financial hold with TikTok. And so this clip is interesting because, as you know, we've had issues with other social media sites such as Facebook and Instagram, right? With them either leaking our information or also having a crazy amount of information on its American users. And so this clip kind of gets into if there is really a distinction between these American social media sites that we're using and TikTok.
Well, I agree with part of what Autumn says about regulations for people on TikTok, especially with minors. And a lot of that comes through basically everything that we do. There are regulations for minors on every social media platform. But I think we need to be careful about calling this a Chinese social media platform, because TikTok is owned by ByteDance. That's 60% owned by global investors, 20% by its Chinese co-founders, and then 20% by the employees, which thousands of them are people from the US. So if we're going to all of a sudden start targeting TikTok just for being foreign, why are we all of a sudden so comfortable with Facebook? Why are we all of a sudden so comfortable with Google? Literally, we're having this conversation right now, and Google is picking up everything that we're saying.
Good point.
That is a fact. That's
Yes,
a
he
fact. Okay, since we're on the subject of social media and technology, I have a question for all three of you. Do you think artificial intelligence, AI, is it good or bad for society? Is it going to be Terminator?
So I don't think it's going to be terminated. I personally think it's good for society, right? Because it's helping to level out the playing field and a lot of these, like in our ecosystem, in our economic ecosystem, right? So when you think about before, we talk about people like Don Lemon, for example, right? Like you had to be the top of the top to kind of get noticed, to have jobs and opportunities like that. And now you can use social media to get new jobs and opportunity, right? But then also you have these AI apps that can help you even streamline your work even more. So I think just as we progress, for example, from news papers to radio to TV, right? And now social media, and we use humans to help us get all this work done and push this information out. Now we have access to AI that can help advance that and make sure we have even more accurate information, and also make sure we get the work done faster. So I think it's a matter of knowing how to use it, and having regulations so that people use it properly, and not being scared that it's going to take everybody's job, but just make your job a little easier. Back in the day, you had to write everything on pen and paper. Then we transitioned to typewriters, right? And that was a new form of technology that we used to help get the job done faster and more efficient. Then we went from typewriters to computers. That helped us get the work done faster and more efficient. And now we have AI. So I think it's just a matter of knowing how to use it and being comfortable with the transition of technology, because it's not going to stop.
That's a good point. I was scared. I'm not gonna lie. I was scared, and I was one of those people, AB, like, I'm not using that thing until like all my friends and coworkers are using it. I'm the one at work stressed using my brain, and everybody else just on AI. So I guess you are right. We have to get with the times, and we have to. I really hope that as it rolls out, we get somebody to teach us how to use it, because as you see in the movies, it's always like it's a great idea until it isn't.
Yeah.
And that's true, right? And you're always going to have bad apples and people who use it for out-of-pocket stuff, right? But for myself, like, I'm a content creator and I'm a one-person show. So I do my own, like, I write my own scripts, I produce, I edit, right? I do all my stuff by myself. And actually, by using AI, it has helped streamline my content and make my content better, right? And I'm able to push my content out to my audience faster because I'm not doing everything manually. So again, I think it's just a matter of learning it. Like, people were scared of the internet when it first came out, right? We started off with dial-up, and now you have Wi-Fi. People were scared of Wi-Fi, right? So it's okay to be scared because it's the unknown. But again, I think it's just a matter of learning how to use these tools to better whatever you need help with.
The only thing that I worry about, AB, is us getting dumber. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we start relying on a lot of this technology, we stop actually learning how to do a lot of things that I think that we should know how to do. For example, like when you use the example of the typewriter and printer and, computers and different things like that, kids can't even write in cursive no more. Things are actually, it's historical documents that are written in cursive that they couldn't read if you put it in front of them, or, you know what I'm saying? Think about math, calculators, using them. And I mean, of course, you can do it faster, but I think we may lose certain things that we, when you start relying on somebody else to think for you, I think we in trouble. That scares me. instead
So
of
I
using
think that's the issue of thinking that AI is thinking for you and you're not using AI, right? Because before we had calculators, we had the abacus or however you call it, right? And you used it to count, but you learned just as efficiently to do math using a calculator, which happened to be technology at the time, right? I also think about your closet, right? You can't get new clothes unless you throw out the old, right? Because otherwise you're going to clutter up the space. So I don't necessarily think we should think of it as people getting dumber as much as we're thinking of we're reteaching people how to think. You're learning how to think in a different way, right? So it's not necessarily that you're going to lose skills. So for example, we used to memorize phone numbers back in the day, and we don't do that anymore, right? Because we have access to it on our phone, but you learned a new way to access that information that you need. So also, like, one more time.
You said your phone died, you can't call nobody.
Yeah, well then
you out of luck. You know what I'm saying? You're still relying on that to be. It's like it's next to you. Your device has to be next to you, or you can't even call home. So
that's why you gotta get the watch.
Right.
Ask neighbor, right?
It's just.
But back in the day, if you forgot a number, you had a phone book. It's always been something to help on the other side of it. So really, you're a charge away from getting your life back. Really? Y'all say I've been around forever. Trust me, everything gonna be all right.
All right, well, okay. You know what I'm saying? Tone was that black and